Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Best of Wooster podcast. It is me, Seth Scrino, your host. And today we are at Global Grind here in Wooster with Charlie. And he's going to tell us a little bit about what he has going on and what else he's doing besides being a barber. Charlie, how you doing today?
Good. How about yourself?
Doing great. Sun shining. Got a smile on my face.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to get into the questions here. So can you share the concept about what you do and how does building relationships with your clients help shape your work?
I'm a barber, obviously. Went to BBC Barber College, 10 months, 1,800 hours. Got my barber license. And, here we are. But, with this profession, I feel like just building relationships are important. And that's something we was taught in barber college, too. And what I mean by that, just as far as clientele, is, getting to know people, instead of everybody having a wall up and making people feel comfortable with themselves, and feeling comfortable with myself, able to share my stories and things like that. So, just building those personal relationships, asking people simple things of how their day's going and, how their family are or, even themselves, vice versa. So, those are things I kind of look for and ask when it comes to people and building relationships, kind of see what they like to dabble in and, are there any interests as far as, things we like uncommon or whatever, just to get an idea of stepping outside of my comfort zone and trying new things. Much it.
So, what inspired you to start into this field? You mentioned before about being thrown in the fire. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so when I say thrown in the fire, just because I started cutting hair at about age 10, 11. And I say thrown in the fire because me and my cousin actually were outside playing basketball, a little game of horse. And my aunt came out the door and was just like, get the clippers. You're going to cut your cousin Kevin's hair today. You got school tomorrow. And I was just as shocked as he was. Like, what? Like, me? Cut his hair? So, sure enough, in the middle of doing a trick for horse, we had to sit down and go down in the dungeon and grab a pair of Wall Senior clippers and a one guard. And that started my journey of cutting hair.
So, who won the game of horse?
I don't even remember, just because we were so focused on cutting his hair. He was scared and so was I.
So, what were some of the biggest challenges you faced when starting out? And how did the people around you support you through those challenges?
So just kind of, it's always challenges, everyday life, family, making sure kids and a family as well. And I started off, like I said, at 11. By the age of 34, I decided to finally go and get my barber's license. It was kind of one of those things with getting on task with the wife. She kind of always looked at it as like a hobby or whatnot. It's something I grew up doing. So for me, it was always kind of like a way to show my creativity. And like I said, my aunt always pushed me. Hair kind of runs in my family, whether it's, locks or braids or any other type of hairstyles and things of that nature. And that's kind of what started me. And it always starts with family. Family was a big part of just helping me do this thing, keeping us out of the way, out of the streets. And it kind of just saves us, and it kind of gave me a way to use my creativity as an outlet. So that's kind of what started me off into this journey. And from there, just some of my friends, they will let me cut them up. I remember growing up and waking up, probably my 13th birthday, I had a whole beard, so I had to figure out how to cut that. My cousin Tyrone helped me cut that. He was a big influence on me. He's one of those sharp guys who like to stay fresh and clean and look good all the time. So that's kind of what helped me. My mom did my first lineup on my beard, and she sent me over to him. So that's what helped me, man. And those people who shaped me, and a lot of my friends and, the partners that I'm working with today with the support.
Awesome. It's always good to have support, right?
Sure.
So, walk me through that first haircut. You said you cut your cousin's hair, right?
Yep.
All right. Let's go into detail with that.
So, like I said, my aunt come outside. I'm in the middle of basketball in one hand, a broom in the other, as I'm trying to do my trick shot. And she says, get them clippers. You're going to cut Kevin's hair. She was pretty stern about it because my brother used to cut our hair and he was always ripping and running. That's how I got the job. But, we brung a chair outside. Got a little bath towel, put it around the shoulders. I put that one guard on as he was crying. And I just remember, from over the years to get my own haircut, being around people who cuts hair and stuff like that, just went against the grain, kept it simple. Couple, what a guy call it, 6 to the back, 6 strokes, got him together, took the clippers and lined him up. And it was, after that, it took off. Then my next cut after that, we kind of did the same thing. And I kind of wanted to give him a design, but it didn't turn out the best, but we had fun with it. So that's kind of what started that.
Awesome. So, what's trending right now in your industry?
So, we got a lot of things. SMP, like tattooing the hairlines. You got man units, with some of the guys who are facing male pattern baldness, who's not ready to commit to things like that. You got them do. And I mean, a big up to the ladies too, because a lot of ladies are starting to come into barbers and, come into their own and are kind of taking over. So, shout out to them. But yeah, we got, some good things going on. So that's pretty much it.
What kinds of things do you read or listen to for inspiration? More in particular, how do you stay sharp and continue growing professionally?
So as I'm continuing to build my journey, first and foremost, I keep God first. I got some good mentors. That Daryl Mosley, to name drop a few guys, Seth himself, where we can ask questions to guys like that who's in an entrepreneurial state of mind and in places where I'm trying to go and reach. I can ask guys like that. We read books like Rich Dad Poor Dad, The Pumpkin Patch, and things of that nature, and just try to, keep our minds fresh, find ways to elevate ourselves so we can continue to get better every day. That's the overall goal. Everything's not perfect. It's not going to be perfect. But, I feel like as long as you're willing to learn and not be a know-it-all, I feel like it's always room for growth. You know what I mean? And the more questions you ask, and I'm a shy person myself, I can't admit. But, once I do open up, I try to ask as much as questions as I can and, just be fair with them and figure out, how to move through this life, and things of that nature.
Yeah, I was always taught that if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Right.
you know? So, you're pretty involved in the community and your customers. What kind of events do you like to take part of or host?
So we have an annual, which will be 4 years this year coming up, or actually, excuse me, it'll be 6 years coming up. We partnered up with our first one with Jasper Robinson out of Orville. We did a back to school program where we cut the kids' hair and we try to pass out book bags and get school supplies and things like that to kids, who may be less fortunate or whoever needs. We do things like that. We kind of do community events where we throw cookouts and, invite the community out to come, network, have fun, mingle, bring the kids out, because the kids are their future. And, we just trying to show them that you can do different things, you know what I mean? As far as entrepreneurs, whether it's, we got a guy who's in here who does art. We have barbers, we have a braider, and it's things that you can just test, trial, and run and see what fits the lifestyle, but to not get too far off track. Like I said, we do community events, we bring the people out and try to collaborate with other people around the community too.
Since starting, what's one of the biggest ways you've changed or evolved? For instance, how has stepping into a leadership role shaped your journey?
So, we all lead different, and being an entrepreneur and working with others, you kind of sometimes have to break that shell. You want to be nice sometimes to the co-workers and, things might not be going the best or, you might be accustomed to doing things a certain way. And some people that you work with might do things a little different. So, just try to lead by example, whether that's, switching up the way we dress to dress a little more formal or a little more business casual.
Let's say we had a crystal ball here and we could see yourself in the next 5 years. What would you want to see happen?
I like to be traveling, seeing more of the world, just seeing some more unique things and more backgrounds, Definitely like to been adventured out, maybe and try some new endeavors outside of barbering too, whether that's truck driving or real estate or whatever the case may be. Just trying new things. Like I said, continuously wanting to just evolve.
Now, I said this a couple times on some of the other interviews is if you're not continuously learning, then you're going to die. So I think it's definitely a huge component, especially with what you do and what I do. We're very personal connections and building relationships. So what advice would you give to someone looking to start in your field? You said before, like learning as much as you can and don't let the money make you. Can you expand on that a little bit?
So yeah, I like to say, I'll never let the money make you because I think sometimes we get so caught up in it, which I mean, it plays a role. Obviously, we got to pay bills and things like that on a daily basis. But just being able to just expand, you know what I'm saying? I mean, we're going to make money in a time like today anyway. So just not being overwhelmed by if I don't do something, the money, I got to have the money or I can't make it. Sometimes you just got to move out on faith. And that's what I did myself, just to kind of rely on yourself. Sometimes you got to put you first and just at whatever cost it goes, it's just stepping out of there, stepping outside of your comfort zone. And, you gotta fail sometimes to win, and that's the lesson within failure. It's not the worst when you fail. It's always about learning a lesson at the end of the day. So just venturing out. And like I say, just, not getting too wrapped up in just financials, but also doing your research and learning, things of that nature. So you know how to prepare for a downfall or a downgrade.
Are there any friends or family members you'd like to acknowledge for their role in your success here. You mentioned your aunt a couple times. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, my aunt Sherry, like I said, she was the one who came outside and told me to go cut my cousin's hair, and that's how we started. But yeah, she was obviously a big influence on me. She's always gave me, always gave me encouragement. If I was down, wasn't having the best time with my father, she always spoke life into me and told me, you got to speak your mind. You can't always just sit back and let things happen. You know what I'm saying? With that, like I said, she just always gave a lot of encouragement. And she was big on me getting a barbershop before she passed away. That was kind of one of her things. It always had it always kept a fire lit in me that I wanted to do something, whether I kind of didn't feel like I was doing enough or, didn't see it sometimes in myself. And then my mother too. My mother's always been a big factor, a big help. My wife, like I said, my brother Chris, he's always pushed me. He's actually a reason of me becoming an entrepreneur just because he's always seen it in me when I was cutting. And I was just cutting for creativity at that time. But at some point when you get good at things, like I say, the money aspect comes in, but like I say, don't let the money make you, but understand it.
Yeah, I think it's very important to find people that always speak life into you, especially nowadays, right? So let's turn the script here a little bit and have some fun questions. So it's Friday night and you're heading out to eat. Where's your go-to spot?
Oh, Friday night, I'm heading out to eat. I'm a big lobster seafood guy. That's why I grew up with. Quick story, real quick. I remember when I was younger, we used to always eat seafood so much that I remember telling like a family friend or something like that when they asked me where I was born. I told them Red Lobster. Just because we ate it so much.
It's that Better Bay biscuits.
Yeah, I literally thought I was born in Red Lobster. We ate it so much. So definitely, I'm a big seafood guy. So they got some pretty good spots. I like to try like A Plus Crab in Canton. I think that's what it's called if I'm not. Excuse me if I'm saying it wrong. They got a place in Akron called King Crab. So, like I said, I'm big on, my wife likes steak, so, Longhorn or something like that. And then I try with the kids and the family all the time, just new spots we might see on TikTok or Instagram or something like that. We like to try. So we just tried I think an Indian place, maybe in Westlake called Nova, and it was very good. So if you get a chance, try Nova. They have great food.
So when you're not working, where can people typically find you? Now you got a couple different things going on. You have barbershop, work on clothing, and doing some stuff in the community, right?
So yeah, so a lot of times, if I'm not in the barbershop, which I am almost 24/8, but when I do get time, I do enjoy making clothes. We have a brand called Mystery. Some people might have heard of it around the town. I like to go to football games, like to do the basketball games. I'm a big Cavs fan. So anytime we get to go to a Cavs game, I'm all down for it. I like to support the high school, Wooster High School's basketball and football team. Got some kids that we cut that we like to go support. We're big fans of Shay, the high school coach. So we try to support as much as we can. So, I mean, that's pretty much it.
I saw that they're looking for a new high school football coach.
Yeah.
You gonna put your
yeah, nah.
put your hat in the ring? No,
No,
no. Hey, he'll cut the hair. But
Yeah, yeah.
kids. What's your all-time favorite movie and why?
And it's actually hard because you done seen so many movies. But I think it's still Land Before Time, and just because just the resiliency they showed that they never gave up, and that's big. That's big in life. Because like I say, a lot of times life throws a lot of curveballs at you, and no matter what, you just can't give up. You know what I mean? You got to take the failures and turn them into lessons. And you got to fail sometimes to learn. So I mean, I feel like that's big when it just comes to life. Like I said, as far as that movie, it just taught me to never give up, no matter.
Yeah, you got Littlefoot, you got
Yep,
Petrie.
yep, Littlefoot.
Yeah, that's right. So, what's the best thing about your life right now?
The best thing about my life, outside of, being able to make my own hours, is family. I got 5 beautiful kids, 3 step and 2. And like I said, we try to enjoy each other's time as much as we can. They're getting older. And I have a grandson, so he's 2 years old. Much as I try to hang out with him and play with him much as I can. He loves basketball. So the time he comes in the door and he sees grandpa, it's all about basketball no matter what. So that's pretty much my things. And cleaning my car and working on clothes.
Yeah, for sure. So, let's say someone who's listening wants to get in contact with you, whether it's to get their haircut, clothing, or get involved in the community. What's the best way for them to contact you?
Come on down to Global Grind Barbershop. That's where you'll catch us. But you can check out our Instagrams at Charlie Lidge or at Mystery or at Global Grind on Instagram. Same, all on Facebook. and you can follow me there.
Awesome. Well, that's all the questions we have today. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
I just want to say that Seth's a great guy, and make sure if you get a chance, you follow his programs. And he's a great guy to talk to and get a good information from, man. He's a great guy, so check him out.
Awesome. Thanks. And if you need any other contact information, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. Our phone number is 330-221-1547. Have a great day.